Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to my reaction to Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 17. It's called The Road Home, and I am watching it a bit late. It came out on the 1st of May, but that was my mom's birthday, so I was away for a couple of days with her and my dad and some friends just to celebrate. And actually, we went to the Drakensberg, which is about 3 hours from where I live in South Africa. And I have to just say, if you ever come to visit South Africa, I would highly recommend going to the Drakensberg. Um, I think we were in an area called Champagne Valley, and there's just a lot to do. And yes, I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend anyone, if you come to visit, make sure to stop by there if you can. And yeah, I wasn't able to watch the episode, but at least my mom enjoyed her birthday, and I can still watch it today on the 3rd of May. Okay, so thank you for joining me on my channel, and please enjoy my reaction and my review at the end. Or sometimes in between, depends on how much I have to say. Actually, oh my goodness, the visuals, they're so smooth. Mikola Gardo. Whoa. Don't hurt me, baby.
こんな使い手が農場の用心棒をなぜ奴隷にまだ上がるのか
Oh, that's what he meant when he said the important thing is. And what's it about? I mean, I know if you're gonna talk about the honor or something of losing my men and like avenging them, I don't know. I feel like if someone cared that much about honor, then shouldn't they at least consider what honor is there in living your life, keeping slaves enslaved? But I get it. He believes maybe that's the way the world is, but I just think that Hebi is smarter than that. So just maybe a little bit more nudging will get him to really consider the fact of what did his men die doing, you know, trying to keep an innocent man a slave. Like maybe he can get there through just that thought process. Is this guy really in the wrong? Wasn't it technically self-defense? What would he have done in that situation? Maybe he can get there. I understand their beliefs, their time is different, and what is right and wrong is different for them. But even in real history, slavery was ended. Well, in some parts of the world, we still have slavery. It's just rebranded. But people stopped slavery in many parts of the world because at some point, people start to realize maybe this is not right. So maybe he can get there now. Maybe. Oh, he knows. No one said that.
その値打ちの違いを。
I'm sorry, but I cannot just stand here and not say he's taking it so out of context. It's not like his 5 men's lives are worth less. It's just that they try to take his life or keep him enslaved. Like a slave is worth nothing. You're taking, even if you don't kill them, you're taking away their honor, their worth as a human being by keeping them enslaved. That's what you did. So what he did was self-defense. It wasn't like he went out and wanted to kill them.
あら、いや、命の代償は等しく命で払ってもらうぞ。ガルザルの仇を討つか。
That wasn't the point. He doesn't want to avenge his life. He wanted to save his life. If you keep, oh, I'll avenge you. Oh, I'll avenge you. Oh, I'll avenge you. Blah, 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 blah.
お前らを縛って。もういい。それ以上締めたら死んじまう。ガルザル。
I'm sorry, but how can he not be that strong? Like, if you think about, oh my god, how is he not dead yet? It's because of everything he's went through actually made him just so much stronger. I don't know if he'll make it though. He's gonna die.
ガルザル、帰りましょう。ガルザル。もういいのよ。ヒャルティも待っているわ。
He's gonna die now. She's just making it easier for him.
ヒャルティ。あの子は。
ビルカのお兄様の家に預けてあるわ。戦になる前に避難させておいたのよ。
ティを引き取りに行くときはお礼を用意しなければ。この庭車そなたのものか。借りたいのだが。あんたに信ぜようガルザル。おお、高いところから失礼する。ご老人、お名前は。スベルケルじゃ。行かれよそなたの家。
トルフィンさん、エイナルさんも本当に何とお礼を言っていいか。
ガルザルさんは。
She knows. She knows. They don't say.
見送ってください。
Oh no. I just don't want her to. Oh no. Hmm.
寒い。体の底から寒い。神々から見放された不運な連中。そなたは私の新たな誇り。ガルザルの子ヒャルティ。父は戦っていこう。お前が誇れる名誉のために。
See. have to pause a moment to say that a lot of people I saw in the comments before, not just my comments, but I mean on Crunchyroll and wherever, they kind of spoke badly about Garzar as if him going off to fight was some kind of, oh, that's his fault, it's his mistake. If he hadn't gone, then he did this to Arnezu. And it's really not that simple, because as this reflects in this world, if you have no power, people will come, they will conquer your village easily, and they will take what you have, and they will rape your woman, and they will kill your children, and they will enslave you. And so when he said, for you, when he talked about fighting for his son and the future wealth, it was like wealth equaled power. Wealth meant strength. Wealth meant that your village is less likely to be run over. Your women are less likely to be raped. Your children less likely to be killed and enslaved in the future. That is what it meant. Like if you can, if your village, there was what, iron or something they were fighting over, and he talked about the power balance, because now, so all these places, as far as I understand it, and then they discovered iron, and now they all wanted to claim it, because the one who claims it will get more strength, more wealth, and that means their village will grow. That means their strengths will grow, and when your strength grows, that means that you are more able to defend yourself from from other places who will one day come, and who will one day I mean, it's not that different in the real world. It's just that the communities have gotten bigger, because it's not just in our own country anymore. We are now international, right? But it's actually the power balance. We have the UN and whatnot that tries and keeps the peace everywhere, so the one doesn't come. But it's not that different. In the blink of an eye, war can break out, and if your country doesn't have strength and wealth, or wealth that leads to military strength, that leads to power, it can be so easy for another stronger, richer place to just overrun and do what they want. Maybe they're nice, maybe they just want to conquer you and assimilate you into their strength, but more often than not, they're not so nice. They will kill you, and they will take what you have to make themselves stronger, to protect themselves more. And so I just don't see, I didn't like when people, like, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, of course, but just didn't like the way that they spoke about Garzar as if it was a selfish thing and he did this to Arnezu. It's just he didn't do anything wrong wanting to going with the other men. Obviously, I'm not saying their strategy was the best. Obviously, I'm not saying that's what they had to do. I'm just saying I have more sympathy for him leaving, wanting to lay claim to the iron, so that the power balance isn't upset, so that he just wanted what everyone else wanted, and which was for his son to grow up in a village with great wealth, with great strength, so that he can avoid this. But obviously, it just happened sooner rather than later. They failed to get the iron, or I don't even know if they failed there, but obviously other people took advantage of them being gone, and all of this happened as a result. And so what I'm saying is, I don't think his decision was right, but I don't think it was wrong either. I don't think it was horrible what he did to Arnez. What's horrible is how this whole world works, and that they need to fear fucking being enslaved. That's why he wanted the wealth, so that this doesn't. Interestingly enough, there's always the possibility that if, let's say, the best thing happened and they got the iron, nothing happened to his wife, and the village then grew richer and richer and richer and more powerful because of that one fight. Imagine then they could have been the ones owning slaves at some point, because look at Kettle himself. Like, they weren't the biggest, strongest community. The love of his life back then was killed, and taken from him to keep the community safe because they didn't have much power back then. But then they got stronger, and now even he owns slaves. Luckily, he's one of the nicer slave owners. But matter of fact is he owns slaves. Things worked out obviously badly here, but I don't think Garzar was the problem.
名誉と富のためにヒャルティはもういくつになる8つか9つか
6つよ。
どうもいかんどれ
I think that just shows he says 8 or 9, so obviously being enslaved makes 1 month feel like 6 because you're being whipped every day. And watching this all play out is just it brings a sense of fear into you, thinking about like what would I do for my own kids? What would I do to prevent this from happening to them? Would you, like, every day I'm working and saving money and doing as much as I can to and putting as much money as I can into paying off my house because I know one day my kids will inherit this, and maybe, you know, life will be a little less difficult for them if they had a better, easier starting point, you know. They already have a house, a place to live. They don't have to work their whole lives to pay off a house. I mean, my dad's 62. He's still working a full-time job, 12 plus hours a day. And it's not an easy, it's like a difficult job. He's 62. He's been working since he was 17. He only paid off his house in March of this year. So my point is, I'm planning, hoping I can pay off my house in, let's say, 5 years' time. So by the time my kids are grown up, they'll already have a house to inherit. They won't have to worry about having a place to stay and having to pay off their house for. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you think about these things so that your children's life can be a little bit easier. That's where we're at now. But their lives, the type of world they lived in was completely different, where it wasn't just, oh, will my kid have something to inherit? It's obviously much more difficult than that, because slavery it's still in the world, but it was right around them. Vikings and the pillages, or what do you call it when they run through a town and they rape the women and everything? What's that called? Like, they knew that stuff was happening. So imagine the fear, like, and just wanting to protect your kids and give them a better starting point, a more protection through honor, sure, but wealth, strength. That's what these things represent. So now what I'm trying to get at is, I have my own plans for keeping my kids safe and giving them an easier life and a better life. But if I was in their position, you have to consider, what would you be willing to do to make sure that the worst doesn't happen to your children, you know? And that's why I'm not saying what he did was right, but I can understand, if you have fear, you have an option. You can live your life in fear and cowardice, or you can try and gain courage and strength. But now, out of fear, it can be born the bad type of power and strength. Like, it can lead you the wrong way, where I don't even want to say it's the wrong way, because you just don't want to perpetuate the world that is already a problem. But like, you have to gain strength still. Like, what? I mean, look at Thorfinn. Thorfinn? He has strength. He got it through the most horrible means, but he has strength at least now, and he can use it in the right way. But he got it through the wrong means. So is that the only way that you can attain the kind of strength to use in a good way? Like, how can you gain strength, and without gaining it through the wrong way, how can you use it well? You understand what I'm saying? Like, Thorfinn has the right strength now, and he's planning to use it for good. But is there a way to inherit or to gain strength? You know, there obviously has to be a way, but now There's no rule book for this stuff. And the world that they're living in is just so, it feels merciless. Oh my god, it's just like, it's so sad. Bottom line, we have to learn from this so we don't repeat the same mistakes. There's nothing wrong with strength, in my opinion, but it's so easy to be corrupted by it. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, or something.
だからの年月私の子だ。きっといたずら者に育っているに違いない。この尻尾に火をつけたりな。
あなたそんなことしたの？子供の頃。
バイキングに行きたいなどというのだろうな。だが私は許さん。
ガルザル。
See, he learned the same thing that Thorfinn learned, but that's why I was asking what they learned was right. Like, you don't do things that way, but where they got was good. This knowing what he knows, Thorfinn now, knowing what he knows, the world needs that. So can you just, is there a way that to get here to the knowing point without having to go through the shit? You know?
本当にやるのだな。ああ、俺たちの腹は決まってる。お前の家族だって。わかった。行こう。よし。
As horrible as that is and as wrong as it is that might be necessary in this world, their world, I can't help but think if they didn't do it and another village in the area acquired that iron, maybe things would have turned out the same in the long run. Like, you know how I explained to, or they showed us Kettle. That was just such a good example with, I'm not excusing what they did. I'm just trying to understand their perspective too and the decision to go and how difficult it must have been and why it was necessary in their minds. Because Kettle had a small community that wasn't strong. And then he had to sell the girl he loved to a stronger community. Because otherwise they would have had to fight and they would have lost. And then he lost the girl, but if they had fought for her, they would have lost more because this community was stronger. But then this community itself was killed by an even stronger community or a more cunning evil one because they just fucking, during the marriage ceremony, they killed everyone because of a power struggle. So my point is not that what they did is right. It's not my point. It's just that constant power struggle. It's happening whether or not they went to go get the iron. Maybe 5 years later, he was talking about that power balance. They had a good balance. Everyone was the same. But now if one gets stronger, then that Kettle thing with the selling of the wife, and then, then they killed them. And wouldn't that just have happened? At least there was a possibility. But there's no point. I understand that you can't, like, out of fear or that might happen, now go and fight a war and that makes it right. Not saying that at all. It's just when you're scared, when you want to protect your family, that's what I was talking about earlier. We don't know what we do in that situation. That's why it's like you think to yourself, oh, we a lot of people come to the conclusion everyone that's actually a theme in Naruto Shippuden where everyone needs to be on the same level. Everyone needs to have the same power. But to keep everyone the same level, on the same level, floor, ground level, someone has to keep them down. And that means someone has more power. And that's bad again. So there's no real good way to do that. You can, once again, people have talked about benevolent dictators that But even if by some miracle you get a benevolent dictator that keeps everyone on the same level for their own good so that a power struggle isn't constantly happening and people aren't killing each other willy-nilly, even if one guy is really that good or one government and everyone is like under their thumb, so that means the power balance is good and no one's fighting for shit, the next one might not be so benevolent and then he has all the power and now he's taking advantage. So there's just no real good way to go about this. There's no real perfect system that can't be corrupted, and I think that our only weapon against this is education, strong values. I don't even know, like that's such stupid, so it seems like such stupid things to say. Like what do I mean? I would need to sit down and write the whole thing about it to really expand on, but it's main bottom line, it's difficult. Life is difficult. People are difficult. And that's why so many people turn to religion, right? Because then it's like that gives you a set of values to follow. But then people end up corrupting religion too, and they make it a shithole very often. I'm not saying everyone. I'm not pointing out any specific religion. But what I'm saying is, I understand why people gravitate towards religion, because at the basic tenets of it is goodness and love and sharing and all this kind of nice stuff that you want people to just do the right thing, man. But what is the right thing is people don't agree on that, and that's why they end up fighting. And the thing is, there will always be people, even if it's a 1 out of 100, that don't do the right thing. That
もう決してそなたたちのそばを。
おかえりなさいカルさん。
just let the man down, peace. No, I really missed that first opening song. Would have been so beautiful there. That was the saddest, most beautiful shit I've ever seen in my life. That was a bad way to say that, but I don't know how else. Like, what makes it so sad is that although I tried to explain now for fucking 20 minutes, although I understand their reasons, their fear, I understand what he wanted to, like, they had long-term thinking. Sometimes long-term thinking is important. I have $1,000. I won $1,000. I can give that to charity now, and then the charity is $1,000 richer. Maybe someone in the charity is corrupt and they take 70% for themselves and only use 30% for the kids. But hey, I did something good. I gave $1,000, right? Now I won it. I didn't need it. I gave it away. Or I think long term and I put that $1,000 in some kind of locked savings account. I don't know. This is a stupid way to say it, but okay. 1 year later, I have $2,000. Then I start a business and I employ people to make lunch for. I use that $2,000 to start a non-profit organization where we make lunch for kids in school who can't afford it. And then, it's like non-profit, so people maybe they invest, and then I do that really well, and I'm not a bad corrupt person. So, the organization grows, and then we're making lunch for kids all over the country. Then one day I hand that over to someone else. I'm too old now. It's such a thriving organization, and the people are donating thousands, and we're doing great things. And then I need to bring more people in, and then people start stealing, blah, 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 blah. What I'm just trying to express here is it's difficult to know, like, you can do something good now, or you could think long term. So I understand that they were trying to think long term. They're in a difficult world where people can just fucking pillage your whole, and no one can do anything about it. There's no UN that will come up, or I don't know what you call it. There's no one that's gonna come to your rescue if your village is pillaged. You're fucked. No one's coming. No one's going to avenge you. Probably you're just some random village. So I understand why they were trying to think long term, trying to gain strength, trying to create, a stronger village for their kids to inherit, essentially. But sadly, what was the wrongest thing was that they wanted to fight. Like, there was iron that it was no one's, it was the earth's iron, right? But now, maybe it was in the middle of all these villages and everyone wanted to claim it. Now, do you just roll over and say, you know what, we don't want to fight? You do it, and then risk the power balance being upset, and then the whole kettle thing happens where now you're the weaker one in the community, and then he stole your daughter just because he can, because he's stronger, or the love of your life. Oh, but then because there's even stronger one, or those two were the strongest, then your daughter that was stolen gets killed over here. Do you understand? Do you risk that? Which is also a totally, to me, it's a totally understandable fear. Or do you go fight for that iron because, but obviously maybe they didn't. The thing is, they were such a small village. If they had left men behind and sent men, they would have lost. And these men probably wouldn't have been able to protect them. Like, so don't split up. So they didn't think to split up. They just sent everyone so they have a better chance of winning there. But then they were vulnerable here, which was. So in that moment, the most right thing to do, from now that we can look back and make these notes, the most right thing to do was maybe just, stay. But then they'll always have that fear about when the people around us get stronger, and now you're, what's the word? You're at other people's mercy. You know that's going to happen. You're going to be, yeah, you're going to be at other people's mercy, because they're going to fight for the wealth. They're going to get stronger. And now you're just here with hoping that they'll be a merciful overlords. And they won't, then once they're stronger than you, after all this iron and whatever, all you can do is hope that they won't then come and take everything you have and take your woman just because they can. And the whole kettle situation will repeat. I get it. In a transcendental way, you can't make bad decisions based on fear for the future. Like, you can't choose violence just because, well, you're scared other people are going to choose violence later down the line just because they're stronger than you. But I can also understand from a parent's perspective. I mean, I'm not a parent yet, but I can just understand, like, what their feelings behind going. They just had long-term thinking, except the problem was that the choice they had to do to get to the long-term plan is fight, is violence. And that is more often than not wrong, because in that moment, yes, they needed the iron maybe long term, they needed strength and wealth long term to make sure their family stays safe, but in that moment, did they have to fight? Most people would say no, they didn't have to. No one was in immediate danger. But then that's why people keep choosing war, I think. It's because they're always thinking, okay, but we need to think about the future. We need to think about the future. So it's okay to fight now because we're fighting for the future of our. And I don't know. I don't think. I don't know. It's so difficult. It's so difficult for me to say that's wrong, because yes, violence is always wrong. But on the other hand, I'm so scared. I feel like I wouldn't want to be, when that power balance is upset, I wouldn't want to be on the bottom either. Then you're gonna have to, you could spend the rest of your life running in fear of the bigger, badder villages. But that's not right either. That's no way to live. But then, on the other hand, if you could mobilize and unify the weaker villages to become one and stand up to the bigger, badder, stronger village, but that's a whole other story. Because some of those weaker villages would rather be under the safe thumb, like they'd, I mean, isn't that what we do? Like you pay, we'd rather be with them and safe than with you and take a chance at fighting them because they're so strong and we might lose against them even if we unify. Because now they have more people, more weapons, and even if you unify the weaker people, you might still not be as strong as the strongest village. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, after all, in a spiritual way, I can understand that. I can understand the message behind he should have stayed with his family. But in a more material, I don't want to say realistic, but in a more material way, like spiritual is beautiful, and in an ideal world we could all live without fighting and share our food and hand out fish that just keeps handing out fish, more fish, here's more fish. Oh my god, the fish is never ending. In an ideal world, yes, that would be so lovely, and I want to believe in that world, and I do believe in it, and I do believe that there's enough for everyone, and we should all just, but in a more material and more, because I'm also like a real person in the real world, and I've seen the things that happen, and I'd be scared. I'd be scared of being, that's all I can say is, I'd be scared of being the weakest village when everyone around me is getting stronger in a world like this where the strong can do and take what they want and no one is gonna say anything. You know, like that guy could come and steal your bride and you'd have to back off because otherwise you're putting your whole village at risk because you can't fight them, and now he can just take her and no one, and that's just, no, there's not gonna be a CNN show about how this village is so bad and we have to unify against them, and there's nothing like that in this world. So it's scary. So even though I can understand the lesson and I can agree with the fact that yes, he should have stayed, I would have wanted him to stay, on the other hand I also can't say convincingly that their choice to go was the wrong choice either, because I understand their fear. Oh, 10 out of 10 for characters, 10 out of 10 for story. Nothing else matters. And then just the comment that I wanted to address from last time was, someone was like, I got so mad at people when they thought Thorfinn was never gonna fight again. He will fight for the right. Like, I'm sorry, but you're mad because we saw in the recent episodes that he later he was willing to fight when it meant protecting someone's life. Like there's a time to fight. He wasn't complete pacifist, like, oh, I'm never gonna fight again. But he did talk about it like that was the case earlier. And so this person was like mad because people thought wrong. And I'm just here like, what the fuck? You're mad because we couldn't see the future? That he was gonna decide, okay, wait, you know what, this is a time to fight? Like, that just, to me, that was the stupidest comment. Like, you're actually mad people couldn't see the future. Are you mad I'm not a manga reader, that I didn't know this in advance? Like, fucking shit. I don't know. I so live. Oh, they're tied up. They're back. Oh my god, what's gonna happen now? Yeah, it's just, I can't believe this is, wow, what the author was able to do in not even a full 2 seasons. The messages that have been able to be shared, story, characters, nothing else matters, 10 out of 10. It's just what I love about it. It's so real, you know? It's so, like, I can really understand. I don't know, but it's so good. Okay. Thank you for taking time to listen to me, if you did. And I swear to God, if anyone's gonna be like, if I pause and it bothers you and I share my thoughts and you're gonna say, you're ruining the moment, then just stop watching my videos, please, because that's not how I do it. I do it how I want to do it. And if you don't like it, you just skip through the parts where I talk. Cool. But of course, those people wouldn't be hearing this part anyway, because it's at the end of the video. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to the next episode. Thank you for watching and see you then.